advantage.
Life is in stages, and how well we prepare for each stage determines how well we will live the next stage. Our retirement is one of the most important stages in life, and we must prepare for it. While we are working, it is essential to make a personal commitment to our future outside the mandatory pension provisions by the government to ensure that we live a comfortable life at retirement. I'd like to introduce the Enterprise Personal Pension Plan to you. It's an individual retirement plan that helps you boost your retirement income. No matter what you do, secure your future today with the Enterprise Personal Pension Plan. As Harry Fosdick said, don't simply retire from something, have something to retire to. Dial *714*333# or download the Enterprise Advantage app on Play Store or App Store to sign up now.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Life is in state.
A very good morning to you. I welcome you all to today's edition of Tomorrow Today webinar series, which is powered by Enterprise Trustees to bring that knowledge and education to you, to equip you so that you understand when it comes to your financial well-being, how to keep yourself and how to plan for the future. I'm excited about today's edition because today we're looking at health and finance, leading with health and financial security. Many of us have heard that your wealth is your health. Today, we are going to explain more so that you will understand why we say that your health is wealth. Because you might have all the money in the world, but if you do not take care of your health, it will end up wiping all the money that you have. My name is Cassandra, and I will be your moderator for today. Follow us on social media. It is Enterprise Trustees on all social media platforms. And let me remind you that we are live on YouTube at Enterprise Trustees GH. Also, you can tell your friends, share as many times as possible so that we can get everybody on the conversation. Today's topic is, in view of celebrating World Health Day, which fell on the 7th of April, health is very, very important. I'm also excited about my panelists that I'm going to be having this conversation with. My first panelist is Dr. Papani. Let me start with the doctor because we're talking about health and wealth, or health and financial security. Dr. Papani Male Ajay. He is a medical officer with over 15 years of experience in the field, and he is currently the head growth of Acacia Health Insurance. And my second panelist is McLean Agrifin, who is also the head of operations at Enterprise Trustees, also very passionate and an advocate when it comes to long-term financial planning. So let's delve right into the conversation. Gentlemen, I welcome you.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
And I think you got the memo, just that it's different shades of blue.
Imagine that.
Yes, you got the memo. Once more, I welcome you to the show. McLean, let me start with you. When we talk about, when we say the state of financial well-being,
yes,
what are we saying, or what are we talking about?
Okay, thank you. That is a very difficult construct to define, but let me first start by demystifying a certain myth people have around financial wellness. Anytime we say financial wellness, people think it's about how much you earn, how much income. You need to earn a lot to be financially well, but that is not the case. It's not based only on your income and how much you earn. It is also, we should also acknowledge that it is a personal state that you need to be in. Okay? It is a personal state that you need to be in. Now, let's look at financial wellness as being able to deal with your having financially secure in the present and in the future. In the present and in the future. For you to be described or seen as financially well, you should also be able to have the financial freedom of choice. What I mean by that is to be able to also enjoy life. We are human beings.
Absolutely.
To be able to enjoy life, have the financial security for the present and the future, still enjoy life now, and also be able to meet your long-term future goals. So from what I've said, you would see that I've mentioned 4 keywords: the present, the future, I've mentioned also about security. I've mentioned about your financial freedom. That's the choice to be able to enjoy life. So just imagine this in a matrix form where security in the present, that is meeting your day-to-day expenses, your monthly expenses. Security in the future, being able to respond to ad hoc situations, emergencies that happen. COVID struck, people lost their job. That is what is about, being able to handle such a situation. Then your financial freedom of choice, yes, in the present, being able to enjoy life now. Then your financial freedom of choice in the future, being able to still enjoy life in future, not only for the present. So you need to be able to tick all these 4 boxes. There are several things that influences them anyway, that then you can see that this person is in a certain state of financial wellness.
So in essence, if I'm thinking of saving all my money for tomorrow and I'm not living very well now, it means that I'm not in a good financial state of well-being.
Exactly.
All right, let me come to you, Dr. Fani. When it comes to the physical well-being, what are we talking about? Because I read an article some time ago and it was talking about in planning for retirement or in planning for long-term financial security, you need to look at the health part of it. And I think it's one part that we all really do neglect until we get to that age where just that one knee, that one shoulder, that one, disease takes all our money. So when we talk about physical well-being, Doc, what do we mean?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think for me, I'll probably take a step back and let's actually define what health is in general.
Okay.
So the WHO defines health as a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just merely the absence of any kind of disease or infirmity. So you don't have to be sick to be unhealthy. It's a very important thing to do.
Okay.
So, like Martin spoke about financial health. So that's no illness, but in that sense, there is a certain lack of health in that description. The interesting thing about that definition also is that each of these elements are interdependent. So when we talk about physical health, normally what we consider is your ability to be able to perform all physical functions without any forms of limitations. But at the same time, you must also not have any specific illness or disease. And at the same time, you must be in a mentally and socially healthy state of mind. So you have to have a good mindset. Your mindset must be rich. You must be exposed and focused on more positive, productive things. And you have to have a very strong social network around you. All of these elements form the components of what we call a proper physical well-being or proper physical state of health.
I would have thought it's just the health part of it, but the social.
Yes. The social.
Delve a little bit into the social. How does that affect us physically?
Okay. So when you look at your surroundings, you talk about your family, for example. If you're somebody who hangs around, how do I put it? If you're someone who was born into a certain kind of family, your typical structure is mother, father, children, certain stability around you. If you happen to grow up in different kinds of settings with family, that could have its own impact on your mental health. And typically, once you move on from that, mental stress, mental health has its own influence on you psychologically and physically as we move ahead. The kind of friends you hang around, the kind of foods you choose to eat, the kind of people and doctrines you tend to imbibe into yourself. All of those little social influences. You see people spending a lot of time on YouTube and Instagram and things these days looking for just that little bit of instant gratification.
Yes.
You get that, but you don't get any other value out of it. But also you remember that the time you spend doing all of that is unproductive time that you could be using to actually build a healthy financial portfolio for yourself. So it sort of comes back to what we're talking about in health here.
So it's a holistic thing.
But
let me come to you. What's the relationship between, the physical stress and financial stress, and physical health?
Okay. So, somebody once put it that the heaviest burden one can carry is carrying an empty wallet. It's more than carrying a bag of cement. That's how somebody tried to put it. So when you don't have money, When you don't have enough resources to meet your day-to-day, your month-on-month expenses, you are under stress.
You'll be sick but not sick.
Yes, and I'm sure the medical doctor is here, he would attest to that. Once you are under stress, anxiety kicks in, your immune system drops, you get more prone to illness.
Okay.
So that's the connection between not being in a state of financial wellness and your health. Because once you get into that state where you begin to worry about the next meal, begin to worry about how the month is going to end, stress is beginning to build up.
Absolutely.
Within you. That's where the health issues begin to pop up.
Dr. Nee, let me come to you. How does health impact someone's financial plan? I mean, how does my health, come into my plans? Yes.
It's very interesting because it's almost a two-way street.
As McLean rightly said, if your financial state is not good, it can affect your health. But if your physical state is also not good, it can affect your ability to generate the kind of income that you're supposed to generate to be in a financial healthy state. So it covers many different things. If you're not well, you're going to have to be spending a lot of money on your health expenses. If physically you have a specific condition that makes you incapable of working, that actually reduces your income. Overall. If you're in a state of mental anxiety and depression, again, these are man hours that could be potentially lost being used to treat specific health conditions for yourself. If you don't engage in healthy and productive lifestyles, these also impact your ability to even be fully active and productive at work. The beautiful thing about exercise is that it doesn't just make you look good, but it makes you feel good. And that ability to feel good is impacted in every other aspect of your life. You think more positively, you're much more accomplished, you're much more active, you're much more focused on your specific goals.
Very true.
So both ways, if you're not living in a very physically healthy life, it can actually have an impact on your ability to even generate income for yourself.
Now that we've touched a lot on the physical well-being or living well physically, what are some of the things? Because I heard you even bring in the social, which I didn't think was also very, very much important. You talked about, someone who just goes on social media because they're looking for some, gratification, and the environment you live in, the family, the kind of friends you have, and all that. What are some of the things that we ought to do in order to be physically well? What are some of the, the good things that we need to do or add to our lives? You just mentioned exercise as well.
Yeah, so exercise is always an important thing. The general healthy lifestyle, we want you to try and eat healthy. It's very interesting because with people these days, we're always on the move. And I think we probably all say we're all guilty of it. We've all been guilty of it at one point in time or the other, where we want to just get something to eat. And you're not so focused on count your calories and determine whether this is the best kind of food for you to eat. You also eat late, you go and sleep. Our lifestyles are very much on the go. You sit in your car. The most rest you probably get is when you're in traffic, moving from one point to the other.
Which becomes dangerous.
Which becomes extremely dangerous. So gradually you begin to pile the fat. Gradually your inactivity begins to release these, what we call your lazy chemicals in your body. And these begin to impact your general state of well-being. So having time, you don't necessarily have to pick 5 hours a week for exercise. Just be consistent. If it's a 7-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute bit of exercise, do something that will keep you active. You will realize over time that the moment you start doing something like that, it begins to improve your state of well-being. Your food, the kind of food you eat, make sure that even if you're eating some of these, as we like to call them, junk foods as well, make sure that you're balancing it with other healthy. The kind of hobbies that you want to do as well. Pick a hobby or something. Do something that isn't just focused on your work all the time, because it's rather interesting. At times the work you do in itself can actually be a source of stress for you. So you have to be able to balance your work and the things you do. Find something you're very passionate about and invest in those things while you also build yourself up. It's also very important for you to plan. it's very important for you to plan. I would probably take this in a stage-wise manner. So you're done with school in your 20s.
Yes.
Your immediate goal is to achieve as much as you can,
yes,
and to try to get as much as you can. The youth of these days are very much in a hurry to do everything in 1 to 2 years that they saw their seniors do in 1 to 2 decades.
True.
Okay, so all of a sudden you're in a hurry, you're trying to amass so much wealth. But the wealth you want to amass is really for you to be able to validate yourself at that age. You don't really think about the kind of things that you want. So you're trying to get a lot of money to prove to people that
yes,
you arrived.
Yes.
Then you hit your 30s, you're in your office now, you're thinking about doing your master's or something like that. And then you have to start paying for school. So all of a sudden the money that you used to have that you were using to arrive now has to go into other things, but in your mind it's going to make me more money.
Yeah.
And then you hit your 40s, thereabouts 40s, 50s, and you realize now you are not just the person, but you probably got married a few years ago as well. You have to take care of your parents who are probably sick. All of these things start having an effect on you. So it's important that once you start, there's never a time that is too late for you to start saving, but as well it's never too early. Start putting something down towards, like McLean said, start putting something down towards a specific unplanned eventuality. Start living healthy at a very early age and keep it consistent. You'll be surprised that what you do in your first 20, 30 years of life can actually have an impact on your next 30 to 40 years of life.
Well said. Thank you so very much. I know that, usually when we get to our 45s, that's when I want to eat sugar. No, I need to go exercise. It's a bit too late.
It's a bit too late.
It's not too late.
But at the same time, if you had started earlier,
it would have been better.
Exactly,
All right, McLean, let me come to you. When it comes to, thinking of budgeting, as Doc said, that we need to plan. So I'm sure financially as well, we need to plan very, very early. What should be the estimated budget for health in retirement?
Okay. Before I come to your question, sir, we need to plan.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make some relationship with health and finance. Because that's the topic for today. That's what we are talking about. Nowadays, you don't even hear much of it. Family planning. It's actually financial planning. What does the WHO talks about family planning? The number of kids, the spacing when you have them. What does that mean to your finances? The number of kids means have the number that you can take care of.
You can take care of.
You can take care of them well, means financially you'll be secure, you'll be well.
Yes.
You'll not be stressed. If you space them whilst one is finishing school or uni, the other is also entering, so you can accommodate, your finances will not be affected. So family planning for me is
actually because of finances.
Planning. Yes. Now to your question of, so how do we actually
should be the estimated
budget that we should be putting out? It's something that we cannot put a figure to say that yes, you need 100,000, yes, you need 500,000, and that will take care of your health. There are several things that influences these things. Your age, because if you start early, you can save small amounts towards your health for the future. So based on your age now, that will determine probably how much you need to start to begin to put down. Because somebody who is 25 who says, look, I want to build a certain fund so that one day when I'm old, I can draw on that fund. That person will need to put in something very small. Compared to somebody who is now 52 years, body beginning to get weak, and now says, I don't have anything that will take care of my health, so I want to start. That person has 8 years to retirement as far as Ghana's retirement age is concerned. So obviously that person will need to put a lot more down towards building that fund. Your medical history, your family history are all things that comes into play. There are people who are coming from families who there's a history of diabetes, there's a history of hypertension. Almost everybody in the family has it. He knows that by the time I hit 40, 45, I'm sure mine will pop up.
Yes.
All these things are things that you need to consider, and that makes you know that you need to put more aside. But if you want to have an idea, if you are somebody who is now currently probably even buying medications for your parents, you should be able to see how much it's costing you now. Factor in inflation and grow the numbers and see that if I'm going to retire 20 years from now and I spend about 1,000 cedis or 500 cedis buying hypertension and diabetes medication for my parents now, this is a genetic disease, it's a family
Yes.
disease. It runs through families.
Yes.
So I'm more likely to get it.
More
if
likely.
my mom is spending 500 Ghana cedi, I'm spending 500 on her every month on her diabetes medication. I'll be retiring in 20 years' time. Grow it even. And just do the numbers and see how much you'll be spending when you retire and or you are old and you need to be taking care of or providing for your diabetes medication. These are the ways you begin to, when you do these scenarios, it begins to get more clearer to you how it looks like and how serious it is and how serious yes it is. But to put a figure to it will be very difficult to do. I'm sure Papa would have something.
There's something that actually crossed my mind as he was talking as well. So typically when we're planning for retirement, but most of the time we don't focus on the retirement story and what happens after. So with most people, you'll assume that you start working around the age of about 25, thereabouts. You work till you're 60, so that's about 35 years. Right? If you're healthy, you think you've crossed the finish line, but no, you've just started the next phase of your life. And as we're seeing in the adverts, that's where you move from an active income to a passive income. If you're healthy, the flip side of that situation then is that the chances of you living very long are equally high. So you might have ended up spending 35 years working, but you might end up spending 40 years living. If you don't start planning for those 40 years, you're going to realize that you end up having lived longer than you ever worked. The time you actually spent working. So it's an important thing to think about when you're looking at how much money you want to put aside. Unless you're of the opinion that once I'm done with 60, then the rest is up to God.
I know.
To do that. But you want to be able to live in a way that you should be able to be comfortable for yourself. You should be able to take your grandchildren out on holidays. You don't want to be a burden to your family as well as they grow. So even if you're looking at ways to start saving, think about those things. Something else I also say is speak to people, speak to your advisors, your financial advisors, your retirement advisors. There are some of these benefits that come with even saving towards retirement that can actually save you some tax that you must consider. So these are things that you want to engage your advisors about. Find out, okay, so how can I put a lot of my money away today, be still comfortable to live, and be able to make sure that at least it lowers the tax burden on me right now. The government isn't going to be worried about that. You are not cheating the government in any way, but you're really putting a lot of money down for what could end up being a longer period of your life with you not working.
Yes, and we haven't thought of it that way. That the next 40 years of your life. So if you retired at 60 and you were going to live for another 35 years.
Another 30 years. You die at 90. Do you have enough money to carry you from 60 to 90?
And these days I'm saying that the kids that even us, we look at ourselves and how much we contribute to our parents, and we know it's going to be less as we go. You give birth to children, and the next day they have their own plans. Outside you, and that's why it's important for us to plan for ourselves when it comes to retirement. Doc, tell us some of the illnesses that we should be cognizant of, as we go with the lifestyle that we're living now. What are some of the serious illnesses that we need to consider? Perhaps you don't have it now, but consider it, because it's something you might be dealing with in the future.
Okay, so for starters, I'll probably do almost a head-to-toe thing. Mental health. It's something that people have totally underestimated and underrated for a very long period of time. But now we live in a society where mental health is becoming a big issue for everyone. You'll be so surprised how much the way you see the world and the way you think actually has a direct impact on your physical well-being and your ability to actually live. Like McLean speaks about, stress in itself, the anxiety, the depression, affects your ability, affects your self-esteem, affects your ability to be as productive as you want to be, and then it also affects your immunity. So all of a sudden, you're getting a lot of colds, you're getting headaches, you can't sleep. All of these things bring their own problems onto you. So without even doing anything, if your mental health is not at its all stage, you can start opening yourself up to all of these conditions that affect your heart, like hypertension, your kidneys, that affect your liver, more or less, and pancreas, leading to diabetes. So these are conditions that either can be found in your family, or you can actually be the first person in the family to actually, because of all of those
everything that we're going through.
Your lifestyle changes and all. So it's very interesting how, and the funny thing about it is, with hypertension, for example, over 90% of hypertension, we don't particularly know the cause. So it's either a specific risk factor like smoking, drinking, stress, work, or it's something like some specific kind of condition which we know about. So hypertension is something that you may not necessarily even know you have.
These days it's just going on social media and seeing that your friend has bought a Range Rover, you're like, oh,
that's in
my
itself.
age, look at me.
It is, so social media has the potential. It's a good place for a lot of education and a lot of information, but at the same time it also has the potential to keep you in a certain vicious cycle of depression and desire.
Very true.
So you're constantly wishing you want something. You're constantly wishing you didn't have it. So there's very little time to focus on your strengths. You don't love yourself a lot. How does that impact what you see and how you manage yourself? So these are some of the conditions, the very common ones. I'll say hypertension, diabetes can never be overstated. Organ diseases that can come in, the anxieties, the depressions, risks of suicide, even, because you see
all
people...
All
mental health, that's the point. The Bible says, well, money answereth all things, right? So that means when you don't have money, there are a lot of questions.
It's true.
That's literally what it means. So when you think of it that way, then you're like, Aish, okay, that's the problem. But the same Bible also tells you that the love of money is the root of all evil. Right. And then it talks again, I'm quoting Bible again, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world?
I tell you finish, we'll call you prophet.
I tell you. So all of these things are the benefits of having the finances and being able to manage it. Having enough, having too little is a problem. Having too much can be stressful. So think about all of those things that come with it and focus on yourself and improving yourself. Think about the diseases that could come. Don't wish them for yourself. Live well, so that we don't have to worry about that.
I like the fact that you started with mental health, because that can cause a lot of things. McLean, now for a young family, let me maybe use myself as an example. For a young family, how do we save on health? You know, keeping in mind the competing needs. How do we save on health?
Well, to save on health, we should first admit that it's a key thing that we need to do. We need to have the acceptance that it's something I need to provide for. It's something, more or less, you would say the probability is 1. The thing would happen. I will grow, I will age, I will leave the corporate world, my company will take away their private health insurance. The probability is 1. It will happen. The event will occur. So definitely, as a rational human being, you need to plan for something that you know for certain it's going to happen. So that is the sort of thinking you need to have, the acceptance. Once you have that, then you need to find a way in the budget. I know that's the issue, that I have a lot of current demands, current needs. How do I make provision for that? That looks more long term. I have current needs.
I heard yesterday that a plan that is not on paper is not a plan. Is that true? Can't I plan in my head?
No. You can't. You can't.
Okay.
The least you can do is have an Excel and put your figures in, play around it and see how things are looking like. It gives you an idea. You can review it. You can come back to it anytime. So to make room for your health, what you need to even look at the bit of the brands. These days, young people of today following brands, there are savings that you can make. There are things that we consume, and we consume them on a daily or weekly or a monthly basis for our lifetime. So making some modest adjustments.
I like that.
Modest adjustments, you realize the savings that you are getting, and you are creating that physical space to be able to push the health bit in there to say, oh, now I can afford to put a 200 cedis down that is dedicated towards a health plan. So we need to make those adjustments, and we need to be able to, one of the things, looking at the current trends now, people following brands and all that, some generic brands are equally good. But once the name has been built, what you are buying is actually the name.
Sometimes it doesn't even suit us.
Yes, but the quality is virtually the same. So those are all little adjustments that we need to make. And we need to start now.
I like that.
There's never a good time. Today is the good time.
That is why these conversations are very, very important, powered by Enterprise Trustees. I think that it's very, very, important for us to start this conversation, because I wanted to ask that, where are we getting it wrong Is it because the education hasn't been hammered enough for us? Because what you're saying, if we were to take about 10 Ghanaians, maybe just 2 does this planning, really putting on paper, knowing and making those modest adjustments that you are talking about. Because we're constantly saying it's not enough. When you talk to everybody, it's almost like it's not enough. So because it's not enough, don't tell me about budgeting. It doesn't even add up. So how do we, in the midst of my salary is not enough, still have that mental strength to say, let me make adjustment, because no matter what, I will retire. Whatever happens, I'll wake up one day and I'm retired. And what is going to happen afterwards? So is it the education that hasn't gone far? Or what do you think we should do more?
Okay. There are several things that influences that our financial wellness that we need to address. It goes beyond the knowledge and the skills. One is our social and economic, and I think Dr. spoke a lot about the social and economic environment that we are in. Itself creates a certain situation that can make you unwell financially. So socially, you'd hear somebody would say that, oh, our family, we always have large families. Who tells you that your father had 5, your sister had 5, so you must have 5? Your situation is different.
It's different.
Maybe you are not financially okay to have the 5, but socially and culturally, people tag along. It's a cost. Economically, yes, the situation that we are in, the country situation also could affect people's financial awareness. Knowledge and skills is another thing. People are not financially well because at times, like you're rightly saying, they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the information.
Yeah.
The other bit is how even information is presented to people for them to be able to take it and be able to act on it.
Okay.
If I present an information that, okay, compulsorily everybody you are saving 100 cedis for your health towards your retirement. You only have to send an email or do this to be able to opt out, otherwise you are in. You get more people in than you saying that if you want to sign on, come and fill this form and sign on. So even how the information is packaged to people helps them to be financially well.
Okay. So for example, if I start a new job and as part of working there, I have to start planning for
it's
retirement.
Helping you to be financially well.
Okay.
Then our behaviors as well, what we do with the information that we get, also feeds into it. So 2 people earning same salary, yes, get all the same knowledge, they were all sitting in the staff there, but get the information. How they all act on the information determines their financial wellness. Their personal attitudes as well. How they feel and what they think and how they act on things. Some people, yes, peer pressure, feel and say that, look, yes, I must also get this. So that means that they'll be drawing down a lot more than saving or doing certain things that they need to do. Then your general acceptance of your situation. We must practice contentment. You need to be content with yourself to say that, you see, happiness is not about how much you have. Like I said earlier, it's not about how much you have that will determine how financially well you are. But if you practice that, you'll be able to be content with yourself to say that, yes, this is what I have and I'm okay. So you'll be financially well, you'll not be stressed.
I like
Somebody could be having millions in the bank account, but he's stressed. Because he's aspiring for this, I need this Mercedes-Benz car, I need this BMW, I want to buy a private jet, I want to do this, I want to go on this holiday. He has so much, but he's stressed.
It's true.
Financially unwell.
It's true.
Somebody has 1,000, but he's very okay,
sound.
content with himself, very happy person because he's accepted the situation.
Okay, I like that. And that takes me to what Doc said about our socialization. Where you grew up in, who talks to you, what your mother said to you, what your friends say to you. So I think after a while when you're grown, you know that you're a content person. You know, you love your shoe, it's beautiful, and that's it. You don't have to force yourself to have what you cannot afford. So I like that. Doc, let me come to you. How do we invest in our health going forward? And this time around, I want you to talk more to the youth. I think we've lost touch with reality and what will happen, what we should be doing.
I would even say that overall, some of the biggest risks to the youth these days, obviously mental health issues, substance abuse. Again, the whole focus on trying to build that that temporary high that makes you feel good about yourself. Sexually transmitted diseases, some of whom are occupational, some of whom are pseudo-occupational for survival purposes and whatnot. These are all the various things that could potentially influence the state of health and well-being of younger people. In hospitals these days, back in the day, hypertension was a disease you get
for the old
when you hit your 45s and
yes.
46s.
Yes.
But now you find 26, 27-year-old men already on 2 or 3 antihypertensives, partly because of what kind of drive they have, what kind of thing motivates them, what kind of stress they are under. Some of these are not just purely based on certain specific organic diseases, but these are people who are facing these things. And like I said, you certainly want in 1 to 2 years what it took your father 1 to 2 decades to do.
Yes.
Maybe your pace is actually really 5, not the 2 years, but you're trying to do everything. And we want to be so fast about it all because we believe we deserve it all in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So we're trying to amass, and the point that usually our focus is, let's try to get as much as we can. Let's try to enjoy as much of it as we can. Let's sit back, belch, and then ask ourselves, so all this money, what are we going to do with some of it? Should I put some of it aside?
Yes.
But then you don't realize that saving is really a culture. It's not a specific event. It's not something that's going to just happen overnight.
That's true.
You have to start it. If you can start with something small, you can start building that up.
Yeah.
So the education over there is really geared towards ensuring that whatever it is you're trying to do, my advice would be try to make sure you put something down. I'll probably put in a small shameless plug over here and say, there are many financial advisors over there. If you're thinking about retirement, focus on a retirement entity that is also focused on health, for example.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to throw in Enterprise Trustees and say that yes, they're very passionate about helping and finding solutions for people at different age brackets and in different price ranges as well to help you be able to manage what you're making right now and still be able to live successfully. So find people who can actually give you the best advice on your finances. Usually, they say it's better to follow somebody who has already walked the road. Yes, follow somebody who knows the road.
Yes.
So talk to people who are where you want to be.
Yeah.
People who have been able to make it to that point. It's never too late, whether you're 20, 30, 40. Talk to people who are already where you want to be. You will learn a lot from them regarding how you can get there.
Yes.
And they will be able to point you in the right directions. Trustees has a very capable set of team members who are ready to help you and guide you along this journey from whatever age bracket to where you want to be, to build that culture of saving and building that secure financial future that will give you the kind of health that you want to have.
I think more importantly as well, testimonials, people who have walked the road and perhaps started at a young age and are enjoying the life now could also be an example of how the youth can watch and see that, oh, this man took care of his health at this age and look at him. You know, he started saving at this. So I believe going forward we will have more of those testimonials to show the youth that it can be done. But since I still have you on the floor in wrapping up, what are some of the, some of the wisdom, nuggets of wisdom that you can leave us with in investing in our health without having to, still break our backs with it? How do we live healthy? Because when you talk about healthy, everybody says it's expensive. Eating salad is expensive. So how do we still eat healthy without having to, use all our monies in eating healthy?
It is expensive when you get to that point where you have to start investing in the expensive bits. So if you start early, and usually our foods, our normal foods, the fried rices and heavily processed foods that make you look cool are not necessarily the ones that will keep you healthy for the rest of your life. So you're spending a lot of money on these things right now. You're going to spend more money trying to manage your own health later. But our foods, our basic rice and kontomire and yam and plantain that we find, invest in those simple foods. Investing in those simple foods actually gives you more value. If you are sick, or if you're already sick, you're hypertensive or something, make sure you visit your doctors. Make sure you take the medications. The funny thing about it is, if you don't invest in treating those conditions now, you're going to have to pay more
And
to
then it
manage
becomes
those
more
conditions.
expensive.
And maybe at that time, you won't even have money.
Yeah.
We all assume that we're going to be able to retire at 60. But what if your health condition, physical incapacity, makes
Forces
you
you
retire,
to retire
at 40?
early.
So that means all of a sudden at 40 you can't work, you are not as capable as you were supposed to be, and maybe you are not in the position to be able to build a certain different career out of that. What happens in that context? We always assume we're all going to sail to 60.
It's true.
Yeah.
We assume a lot
always
of
assume
things.
we're going to sail to 60 and nothing is going to
Yes.
happen. But you never know. You could probably stop at 45.
True. That's true.
So what's stopping you? How much have you invested? Besides what your employer will do for you, try to take up a personal pensions option as well and start saving towards it.
Yeah.
Discuss the tax options with your advisors as well. How you can actually invest in retirement and also avoid some stress on some taxation stress on your income as it sits there. There's so many things we can actually think about in that sense. So for my side, I think I have to save a few for McLean as well.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say from me.
Thank you so very much. All right, so we're going to take a few questions from you. So make your questions ready. I'm sure you have questions for McLean and Doc, this morning, so that we can all be on the same page. I think that's the most important thing. At the end of this morning session, we should all be on the same page when it comes to planning very well for our retirement, being in a good state financially and being in a good state physically. I mean, we all would love for that to happen. But McLean, just before, we take a few questions for you, how do we live healthy how can we create a budget that will take care of our health, that will take care of our health expenses, in taking care of our health expenses, like adding it into, putting that, in taking account of that, how do we plan or how do we budget?
Okay. So, like I said earlier, we need to make space for that. And to do that, you see, let me also get religious, as Doc quoted, made reference to the Bible.
When both of you
In
finish,
Romans
you will answer after that quotation, you will answer one question for me. Don't you think our religion also has a way of keeping us from saving and budgeting anyway?
You're right.
Go on and ask your question.
So in Romans 3, the good book talks about we should make sober of ourselves. We need to be real of ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves. People have different gifts. When you go on to read, it talks about prophecy, and different people have different gifts that they have, and your gift might be different.
Yeah.
Look at your situation and be very honest with yourself. How can I be consistent with my savings?
Yeah.
One of the best means of being consistent with your savings is automating the deductions. Automating the deductions. Most of the time, people think that they are in control. I can do it. I'll pay myself. Every month, I'll do the transfer. Or every month, they will... Trust me, it will happen 2, 3, 4, 6 months. The 7th month, you find a very good excuse for yourself. To you, it's very rational. It makes sense that there's this other competing need. So for this month, I can't meet
Usually
this
a funeral.
Yes. I can't meet this need for this month. So this month, I'll skip the payment. And next month, I'll continue. Next month, something else will pop up. And you convince yourself that it's very, very good and it's so urgent. So this month, you can't make that payment. But once you automate the payments, automatically it's now in your budget. Because as soon as probably your salary is paid, your finance person has submitted the money to the investment company, wherever the money must go, and it's going. Human being by our nature, that's how God made us. We process the information, what we have, and say, this is what is left. I need to adjust myself for this month. And you'll be fine. You will not die. You will go through the month.
It's true.
So for me, the best means of saving and getting it into your budget, automate the payments. Don't believe in yourself. Have that sober judgment. Be honest with yourself.
That shoe will come and you will buy.
I might not be able to do this thing religiously.
Yes.
So let me automate it. Deduction is done at source.
Yeah.
Whatever is left, I will manage it.
Yeah.
That is the best way to get it into the budget. If
I
you
like
leave it
that.
to yourself that I will get into the budget myself, remit the money, you do it for 6 months, in the 7th month, you give yourself an excuse.
I like that. Doc, add to it, like what I said just before McLean answered the question about our religious, beliefs, also kind of inhibiting this whole financial planning because it's almost like, so because God will take care of us, I don't have to put money down for health, to take care of my health, because God will make sure that perhaps I don't die. And the same thing with the finance. God will make it's almost as if some big breakthrough. And because of that big breakthrough that we are anticipating, it's never really, puts us in a state of having to plan every day towards our retirement and towards our health.
He's really put me on the spot
I
here.
know. I wanted to, since you decided to be quoting scriptures, both of you.
It's me against, it's not me against the Bible, right? You're trying to put me
joking.
against, yes, but the thing is, there are different passages as well.
Yeah.
There's the story of Elijah and the old lady with the oil and the flour as well, where she gave what she had to give, and then as a result of that, a lot was provided for her. So she never ran out of oil and flour for herself and her child. There's the story as well of the woman who gave in a service, and Jesus told the disciples that this woman gave everything she had. So all that what she's given is worth more than what most people had given in the offering at the time. When you think of those passages, usually those are the passages that are used to encourage us to give everything.
Yes.
Like that. But at the same time, too, you find other passages that are talking about storing, that are talking about storing your treasures in specific places, that speak about, even in the Old Testament, so go count, see what you have. Yes, these things happen a lot. The same God is telling people that go and take account of what you have, see what it is, do this with this, do this with that, but it doesn't say give it all away. And it's an important thing for us to remember that God really wants us.
Yeah.
God really wants our personal sacrifice, right? Again, the same Bible talks about your offerings being like filthy rags to him, because he wants not just you to give as much money as you can.
Yeah.
He wants you to give yourself in obedience. That is far more worthy than whatever money you will give.
All right.
So when you think about the fact that God isn't just after your money, but is after everything, he's after your health, he's after your wealth. He is supposed to be there to build you up. And he also says, well, if you pay your tithes, challenge me, test me, and see what I will do for you. There are different elements to it that we tend to forget. That's the reality. It's not just a matter of God saying, give everything you can, but you must give with a cheerful heart, and you must give what you can. And God respects that, and God loves that. As McLean says, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. God, this is what I can give at this point in time. God is not a wicked God to try and judge you and say, because you didn't bring everything, you will suffer. But if you do it with a sinful heart and lie about it, that at this point in time, God, I could give you more, but I chose to give you less.
That is where he
Cain and Abel situation. You see those things. So when you scan through the Bible as well, you see different stories and elements that we can pick on to realize that it's not cut and dried, where we say you must give as much as you can to God, or God will not replenish your stock.
It's all about balance.
It's about finding the balance, but it's more about being true to yourself.
Okay.
And all that God wants is really you and your sacrifice for him.
Fantastic. All right. Join us. Follow us on social media as Enterprise Trustees on all our social media platforms. And I hope that you have shared as many times as possible if you're watching us now. But there are a few questions that you have brought in. Let me just ask so that we have McLean and Doc answer them for you. McLean, let me start with you. He says, how do I build a savings culture when my expenses are more than my income? The same old story.
When my expenses are more than my income.
Yes, you can answer.
Okay, so you see, the one thing that as individuals we fail to do, but we do very well for our employers. We do very, very well for our employers. We go for strategy sessions, we contribute. Budgeting sessions, we contribute. What are those sessions about? It's about helping the company to strategize, to plan, look at its income, revenues, and the expenses. Do you do same as an individual every year? And do you review it? The company meets every year to review the budget for the year, the strategy for the year.
Yeah.
As individuals, we need to do that religiously as well with your key stakeholders. If you are married, i.e. your partner, and even probably the kids as well come into the picture if it's a family. To say, this is what we have. What do we do? What are our priorities? We carry everybody along.
Yeah.
So by so doing, we are all aligned that as a family, we can't afford this.
Yeah.
This is what we can afford. The kids are also okay and they understand and they will help you make the savings.
It's true.
Trust me, the kids will be the ones who will even be correcting you or be reminding you when you are going overboard. But mommy, we said we won't buy this
It's
thing
true.
again. Mommy, daddy, we said we won't do this thing
Very
again.
true.
We are doing it.
Very
They will serve as
true.
a check on you. So that is one smart way of dealing with it. You need to strategize, have your strategy sessions,
Okay.
budgeting sessions, include the stakeholders. For the kids, go to the mall, give them their money. Give them some money, allocate you to them. Trust me, they'll come back home with the money.
It's true.
You don't want to spend the money. It's a nice way of also introducing them into the space of learning to manage money.
Yes.
So this is what I would say: if your expenses are more than your income, just like every company would do, you to have a plan, a strategy session with your family, sit down, strategize, see what you can cut. Is there any additional revenue that we can generate? And as a family, you agree that blueprint, and that is what becomes the working document.
That is very solid. I hope that in our next edition we could have McLean on a board for us so that we can all, as we are doing,
budget,
practically, we will all be budgeting and also maybe have small booklets for everyone so that we can be using that because I think it's crucial and it's important and we should all get into that space. Doc, there's a question for you. How can I help my parents live healthier when I don't control the budget? So parents helping them to live healthier, but they run their own, they have their own budget. So you still want to help them to be able to make the right choices.
So I would presume this person is probably older, or if the person is younger, your level of influence
Influences.
it grows as you grow. So it probably if you're young, I'm sorry, this is not for you. But if this is for an older person, the thing about it is that understand that they are individuals in their own rights. They each have their own experiences. They each have their own preferences. Yeah. What you can do as a good child is to support your parents. You can invest in buying them healthy foods. You can invest in getting them to do exercise. And when I'm talking investing in that sense, I'm using time. You can invest in being around them to cheer them up and keep them as comfortable as possible.
Okay.
But the reality of it is that if they are into specific things, there's only so much you can really do at the time. Do your part. Don't get frustrated with them. Remember, when you were growing up as well, they didn't get frustrated with you that much. Not that much. They did, but they didn't get frustrated
with all our
with you that much.
stubbornness.
And that's the beauty of life. They take care of us to a certain point, and then we have to take care of them. But we have to acknowledge that they are independent individuals with their own mindsets and their own idiosyncrasies. Support them and guide them, and hopefully you can build that influence.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Doc. We've really learned, I've learned a lot this morning, and I'm sure you've also learned a lot. A very big thank you to Dr. Papani Male Ajay. And every time when I get to Ajay, I'm laughing for a reason. He's the head growth of Acacia Health Insurance, and McLean Agrifin is also head of operations at Enterprise Trustees, also very, very passionate about planning long-term. My name is Cassandra. This has been a beautiful edition of Tomorrow Today webinar powered by Enterprise Trustees. Tomorrow, when the cock crows, or right after, this conversation, or right after this session, make sure that you dial *714 *333 # to start the journey of planning for your retirement. Someone will definitely give you a call. Follow us on social media. It's Enterprise Trustees on all social media platforms, and on YouTube, it is Enterprise Trustees GH. My name is Cassandra. We'll be coming your way same time next month, because this is a monthly series to ensure that you are empowered. But just like I said, start the planning today. Very, very important. Don't wait till you are 60 before you start checking your health, before you start taking care of yourself. Don't wait till you're 40 before you tell yourself, oh, let me start planning, let me start saving. Do it now, because like I say, our kids are no longer a retirement plan. You need to plan for yourself. We'll see you again next month. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Ransford and welcome to today's edition of Retirement in 60 Seconds. Today we will be talking about retirement. What is retirement? Retirement is a time in life when the main source of income changes from active income to passive income, that is private investment, pensions, etc. It can be forced or voluntary withdrawal from the job market. In Ghana, the normal retirement age is 60 years, but one can also choose to go on voluntary retirement at 55 years. Till we come your way again in our next edition, remember to plan well and advantage.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Life is in stages, and how well we prepare for each stage determines how well we will live the next stage. Our retirement is one of the most important stages in life, and we must prepare for it. While we are working, it is essential to make a personal commitment to our future outside the mandatory pension provisions by the government to ensure that we live a comfortable life at retirement. I'd like to introduce the Enterprise Personal Pension Plan to you. It's an individual retirement plan that helps you boost your retirement income. No matter what you do, secure your future today with the Enterprise Personal Pension Plan. As Harry Fosdick said, don't simply retire from something, have something to retire to. Dial *714*333# or download the Enterprise Advantage app on Play Store or App Store to sign up now.